$1,000 in student loans debt.
Wow.
But I also have a doctorate degree. My mission is to clear up this debt because I actually had cleared it. I had got it down to $5,000.
I'm not about competition. I want everyone to win. As we say all the time, it's a baby being born every second. So you're still going to be able to get that business from the up and coming people who are, so it shouldn't be a competition. It's about trying to help everyone, and that's my goal.
I've been putting in blood, sweat, and tears, working day and night. Sometimes it'd be 2 and 3 in the morning, and he would have to come and meet me to follow me home because I'm putting in all this work. But that's what you got to do as an entrepreneur. You work hard for these employers. You got to work hard for yourself.
If you put yourself on a salary, it will allow you to budget your finances a little better versus always trying to say, let me go get that $1,000 out of that business account. And what's the reason we go get that $1,000 is because in our personal finances, we are not budgeting our bills correctly to make sure that we can sustain what we have going on.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Growth Motivator Live with me, your host, Dr. Lisa L. Campbell. I am happy today to be joined by a financial everything, get your finances in order, expert, Tramaine Roberts. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm broke.
You're broke?
Yeah, here's the deal. I spent a lot of my adult life growing my first business, made some financial decisions, taking money from 401k to fund my business. I went to college. I got a lot of student loan debt. But I know that I am in the majority. A lot of people are in the same place. So I really know that you're going to share some words of wisdom with our listening, viewing audience about how to get on the right path in 2024.
Yes, ma'am. I'm ready.
So tell us a little bit about your background and how you got to where you are today.
Well, I started out, I wanted to become an accountant, but I changed my mind and just went in another direction. I started working for my brother, Larry, for Larry's Barber College, and I started doing the accounting work for the Barber College. So I made sure all the bills were paid, everything was up to par, budgeting, doing what we needed to do to survive. We all know businesses are challenging when it comes to trying to make sure payroll is done, bills are paid. So I made sure I was able to execute that. So with that, it wanted me to become a person that is helping others to achieve their goals financially with their business, personally. So I just started going from there with it, being able to give people advice. And as you know, I'm always giving people free advice.
Funny
advice. I don't charge people for a lot of my consultations because I'm really trying to help people get on the right track.
I love it. And you know what? I think that so many of us have been involved in all these transactional relationships when trying to get information. But I have found if you give someone a small piece of information is valuable when they are transitioning and need that more in-depth support, they're going to contact you.
Yes, absolutely. So, they'll think of me.
Yes, yes. And so every time I watch you on social media when you telling all these funny stories, I'm like, Tramaine is hilarious. I'm like, maybe you should have been a comedian.
That's what people say, but I'm such an introvert that I don't think I would last on a stage. So, but people say that all the time to me. So it's just, I just provide what God gives me. That's all I can do.
I love it. I love it. I'll tell you something funny. Recently, my second cousin had passed, and there was this man who was on the organ. We were at Lincoln Son's funeral home, and I told my husband, I was like, this man looks familiar. It's your daddy.
Our daddy. He's everywhere.
Everywhere.
So he can play the organ. He can preach if they need him to preach. Sometimes he's a singer. Someone texted me last week and said, your daddy is singing at my funeral. I'm like, oh, Lord.
He was singing, too. He was singing. And he was helping the other person that was sing.
Yeah, so he does it all. We're just a jack of all trades, my brother and I, my dad, and we just try to do anything we can to help people to, get on the right track.
And don't forget about Mama Darlene.
Yes, Mama Darlene, yes. She's the one that just, when we need her to pick us up from somewhere, the airport, drive me to the airport, she's always there. And of course, a prayer warrior, she prayers through anything we need to come through. So we appreciate her for that.
Oh, I love it. I love it. That's awesome to have that family dynamic, because that's a form of wealth. Because everybody doesn't have that.
Yes.
So talk to us about, if we're in this situation where we're trying to get some financial independence and build wealth, what do we do?
Well, the first thing is to eliminate the credit cards. We all know that the credit cards are what gets us in trouble. Growing up, my mom used to take my brother and I to Neiman Marcus and Marshall Fields going shopping, and we always seen her use her credit cards. So as I got older, I started getting my own credit cards and was getting approved for them. And at one point, I think I had like 22 credit cards, right? So of course, my credit score was low because of that. But my thoughts was, if I'm paying my bill on time, why is my credit score low? And once I started learning about credit, I realized that it's about your credit usage. It's not about how many credit cards you have. It's about your usage. And majority of the time, we're using credit cards, and if you can't afford to pay them off, then it keeps building that balance, accruing interest and different things like that. So once I got to the place where I wanted an 800 credit score, I started bringing my credit usage down and was seeing my credit score go up 20 points, 30 points. I'm like, oh, this is the name of the game. It's just about your credit usage. So once I did that, I gave myself a goal. I paid all my credit cards off in 2 years. And my credit score was at 850.
Wow.
So when I seen that, I'm like, okay, now I can teach other people that this is all it's about. It's not about having, two credit cards or 50 credit cards. It's about your usage. And at one point, I was out of control with my credit card usage, and I tried to discipline myself by freezing my credit cards one time. I said, well, I'm going to put them in a freezer, to make sure I don't use them anymore, and I literally had about 5 credit cards that I put water in and put them in a freezer and had them frozen so I wouldn't use them. And the reason for that is because you shouldn't close your credit cards. So once you do close, you pay off your credit cards, you shouldn't close them, because you still want that open to buy on your credit. So I have like over 100K open to buy on my credit. So if I do need something, I'm able to go get it, or it allows other lenders and bankers to see that this person is disciplined enough to have 100K open to buy, nothing on her credit, so we can give her this $1 million contract if she's trying to, pursue another business. So, yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
I'm just amazed. And I think about, we're in my office right now, and I think about how much money I put into my healthcare consulting business, which I actually closed October of this year.
Okay.
Because I decided that, number one, my career was just naturally, organically moving into a different direction, where I really wanted to focus on motivation and inspiration. And so I decided, even though I'm still going to be in healthcare, it's not going to be the primary thing I do. I'm not going to do that much of it. But my goal for 2024, 2025 is to pay off my debt.
Okay.
Because, now listen, some of the credit is from Louis Vuitton and Gucci, because I loves me a good bag.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
do. However, some of it is from funding the business. And I had to come to the place where I realized that the business was no longer serving me. It was draining me more than it was adding to my life. And so I had to close it.
Okay.
And it's okay.
Yes, it is.
Because, you got to close one door to open another one.
Absolutely.
Now, I know you're into financial health, but I saw on Facebook that you also are into physical health as well.
Yes. My boys and I discuss this all the time. We just want to be able to live a long, healthy, prosperous life. So both my boys and I, we decided to change our eating habits and go on to a healthy lifestyle. So I do have my personal training. license, so I can train people to help them to get on the right track. And again, my goal is to help people live a healthy life and a prosperous life. If you're healthy, then you can manage your finances like you need to manage your finances. But when you're unhealthy, depression comes along. People are, overweight, and, it just tons of other things end up happening, illnesses and different things like that. So I really, again, my goal and my focus is to make sure everyone just live a healthy, prosperous life, and that's what I'm aiming to do.
Oh, I love it. So it's like the Tramaine Roberts ministry.
Yes, the ministry, yes. And then again, usually don't charge, people a astronomical amount. If I'm training someone, I may say it's $10 a train. It's like, I'm really not trying to make people go more in debt when I'm trying to help them get out of debt, help them get financially stable, healthy. I don't want them going into debt trying to pay me to get out their financial situation. So to me, it's not about money. It's me trying to help people, get on the right track. So.
Oh, I love that. I think about all the people that I trained to do medical coding, because that's one of the areas that I'm in. And I think about my why. I didn't want them to get in debt. It's so many for-profit schools, and I went to for-profit schools where I'm taking out all these student loans, but I'm not getting that dollar amount back.
Absolutely.
In terms of income, and maybe I am. Maybe some of it is in the purse, but anyway, hey, what can I say? But I realized that was one of my goals, was to teach them the industry that I love, so that they can help improve the quality of their life, their family's life, without the debt.
Exactly.
Because it's difficult when you're like, oh, this microphone on. I have over $200,000 in student loans debt, but I also have a doctorate degree.
Okay.
And I don't regret one day of my life that I spent borrowing money for college. Because it has served me well. This is my 32nd year in healthcare, so it has served me well. But now, on this other side of 50, Larry and I both 1973 babies.
Okay.
So my mission is to clear up this debt, because I actually had cleared it. I had got it down to $5,000.
Really?
But then I moved into this office space, and I just started, again, when you're in business, you need things,
you
right?
do.
And
Absolutely.
I just was swiping. I got some business credit, and it just, before I knew it, the numbers started creeping. And so now I'm very clear on what 2024 and 2025 needs to look like.
Good.
So that I can stop allowing that debt to hold me hostage.
Very good.
Now, these student loans, I don't know what they're going to do about these student loans, because I really would like for them to just zero mine out.
Well, mine was zeroed out. I had over $100K in student loans, and mine were forgiven. So when I got that letter in the mail, I just was praising God, shouting, and doing everything that I can, because I was grateful that, even though I went to school, got my degrees, and some of the money as well was from Parent Plus loans, with my son, and I was able to get all that forgiven. So I'm very grateful for that, and just keep believing that God is going to take yours away as well. But yes, I had that opportunity. I'm grateful for that.
Oh, I love it.
Yes.
So we've been talking about financial wealth, but let's shift gears a little bit and talk about entrepreneurship and these side hustles, because you are a wealth expert, a health expert,
Yes.
Comedian, traveler.
Yes.
But you know what? One of the things that I enjoy about watching you on social media, and you probably remember this, Bishop Campbell used to tell us to live.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
you are living.
I am living. I'm not waiting on anyone to make me live. I'm living, because we don't know what tomorrow holds. We don't know, if our health deteriorate, anything can happen. So when I have that opportunity, like you see, I live vicariously through my boys. Anytime they say they're traveling somewhere, I'm saying I'm going with you, because my goal is to get to all 7 continents. So now I'm at 4.
Oh, I love it.
No, I'm at 5. So I only have 2 continents left. I have Antarctica and South America left. But
Antarctica, that sounds a little cold.
it is a little cold, but that's my goal to get to it. You can cruise to it, so I've been looking at all type of cruises to get to it.
Yeah, you haven't cruised in a long time. What's up with that?
I have not cruised because of the COVID. It's just I'm really, you see how I am. I still wear my mask.
Yes.
On the plane, different locations that I'm at. If it's close knit, I still have on my mask. So I'm really afraid that if something break out on the cruise, then I'm quarantined in my room for my whole 4 days. But before the pandemic hit, I did have an Alaska cruise booked, and it was canceled because of the COVID. But I did eventually fly to Alaska because I still wanted to, make sure I got to Alaska. But my travel comes from credit cards. So I share all the time. I accrue points from all my credit cards and able to book hotels, with points, and book travel with points, because there's a lot of things out there that you can get points for when you use your credit cards, and it'll go towards your flights. It'll go towards different things like that. So that's what I'm all about now, making sure I have those type of credit cards with those rewards, so that way I can still live and do what I need to do, because I am spending on things that I need, but I'm getting those points for travel or for different things like that. So
wow.
Yes,
listen, you are definitely living. Bishop is looking down from heaven smiling.
Yes.
And I think he's looking down from heaven smiling because I've seen so many of us just continue to grow.
Yes.
We didn't lose our confidence, and we just living, growing. And I'm here for all of it.
All of it. Do you hear me?
Every
I'm ready
single
for
bit.
It. I'm ready for it.
So talk to us about entrepreneurship and the side hustles, because your dad, you forgot to mention this, but I know your dad also cooks.
Yes. My dad used to own Larry's Ribs back in the day, even though I can't cook, but and that's because we were raised at the restaurant. So all I know how to do was fry the catfish, season it up, fry the catfish, make coleslaw. But I never indulged in cooking like Thanksgiving meals and Christmas meals. So with the restaurant, we learned a lot of things on how to operate a business. That's why Larry started his barbershop first, and then he eventually got the barber colleges. And then I eventually, went on to my business, but it was seeing my dad, do everything he needed to do to make the business thrive and survive. And it just taught us a lot. Larry and I wanted to find another job, but my dad was like, no, you're going to work at this restaurant. If you're going to live in our house, you're going to work at this restaurant. So we were able to see, the different challenges that took place, as well as the success that took place, and we learned from it, and we were able to keep going. Unfortunately, my dad had to close his restaurant, but I told him, I said, if I was old enough at the time and was able to budget your business, I would have made sure that it would have, been successful. But I wasn't at that age, to be able to handle the finances for his business, but I would have been able to make sure that it was thriving, because it was an excellent restaurant. Everyone still talks about it, about to this day, and he'll even still, barbecue, here and there at the church and sell dinners. But Larry and I are grateful for that opportunity to see my dad, and my mom. She used to work there at the restaurant, just become the business owners and do what they need to do to make sure they provide it for us. And
I love it. Y'all need to write a book. Really, I'm serious, because
well, I have books out.
I know you got books, but y'all need a book about that experience as the family, because so many families don't realize that we can build generational wealth together if we work together.
Work together. That's
and
what
you
it's
were
about.
born into it, basically.
I was, yes, very much so. So, and like you said, it's about working together. Even if it's not family, friends need to be able to work together and make sure that we're supporting one another. And we oftentimes don't see that,
It's all competition.
It is all, and it shouldn't be. I'm not about competition. I want everyone to win. As we say all the time, it's a baby being born every second. So you're still going to be able to get that business from the up and coming people who are, so it shouldn't be a competition. It's about trying to help everyone, and that's my goal. I'm not in competition with anyone. I'm just trying to make sure everyone wins.
I love it. So on the topic of entrepreneurship and side hustles, what would you say to someone who's looking towards going down that path?
I would say with everything that is now, with all the technology, is much easier to get a side hustle. I'm not sure if you heard of Printify. Have you heard of Printify? I love Printify. So this is a company where you provide them with your logo or whatever design that you have, and they'll make the shirts, sweatshirts, anything that you want, and they'll ship it.
Mental note.
They'll ship it for you. Versus before, you would have to have all this inventory on hand. You're buying all these T-shirts, you're buying all these sweatshirts, and then that inventory end up sitting there, and you're not making any money from it. But with Printify again and Canva, I'm sure you heard of Canva. That's where I make all my logos at. And then I transfer it to Printify. Whenever someone makes that purchase, Printify make it for me and ship it to that person. I even have a gym shoe out, So and Printify is the company that will make them and ship it for me. So if someone is trying to aspire to be an entrepreneur, that would be my route to go. Is again getting all these type of services that don't allow you to buy all this inventory without you knowing if you're going to make the money from it. Printify have mugs here, anything that you want, they will be able to provide it for you. Just give them your logo or whatever the design is, and they'll do it for you. So that's my best bet, is to let people know to go with things that are free versus trying to always spend thousands of dollars on, different presses, because I do have everything in my basement, and I pretty much wasted money on it, all type of inventory. But once I found this company, it just made life so much easier.
I love it. And I will add, as a seasoned entrepreneur myself, you need to start with a plan. And you need to first decide, is this a business or is this going to be a hobby? Because there is a difference. I remember during the pandemic when people were trying to get the loans. We're not going to say the name of the loans, because some people, they didn't really have a business when they got the loan.
I didn't get it, so.
But they couldn't prove that they had a business because they didn't have their books in order.
Yes.
Every business needs to have some type of legal partnership, accounting partnership, business structure mindset. Well, if I didn't learn anything else over these last 21 years, I've learned that you got to know when, as Bishop Campbell used to say, cut the cord.
Yes, cut the cord, absolutely.
You got to know when to do that. But you also have to understand how to operationalize your business from start to finish.
Yes.
And recognize you don't know everything, you can't do everything, and there is someone that can help you walk down that path. And you can learn from the basement of inventory that you have.
Yes.
You can learn from me thinking about, and I was looking at my QuickBooks, and I said, this is how much money you've put into this business. This is how much money you've made. You have not made any money all year, and that's when it hit me. It's time to close.
Okay.
And I was okay with that. You know why? This office was being torn down. I was closing that business, but I'm closing those doors so I can walk into the next ones.
Absolutely.
Because you can't go into the next door when you got all these other doors open.
Yes, absolutely.
So I learned that, and it was hurtful. I think a lot of people also think, you're an entrepreneur, so you must got a lot of money.
That's what they think, but they don't know.
They don't know the real deal.
They don't know the real deal. Exactly. Yes.
They don't know the tears that we shed.
Yes, because it gets rough. That's why I usually the one thing I always tell people is try not to get into a partnership with someone as far as like money being involved, because when things don't happen, that person is looking at you like, where's my money? I did have someone approach me about trying to partner with me and give me some money, and I told him no. I said I would rather do this by myself. If I lose, I'd rather lose by myself, and no one else is attached to me, because we all know, how things can go when someone is attached to you and your money, and now they're talking bad about you, they're trying to sue you, different things like that. So I always tell people, try to do things on your own without having to. Now, of course, business, banking loans, different things like that is okay, but don't try to get into a partnership with someone, not, knowing how the business is going to go, because we've all seen, how businesses and partnerships fail and it becomes a disaster. So,
Well, you know what? I haven't shared this with a lot of people, so I'll just share this story very briefly. So I think it was about 2018, I decided I wanted to move out of my home office.
okay.
And so for about 9 to 12 months, I met with 3 other individuals about getting the office space. We were looking at office space in Matson and Homewood and all of that. And we talked about how we were all healthcare professionals. And so we were like, in addition to our separate businesses, we could join together, open up a healthcare staffing business. So we met for 9 to 12 months. And then 3 of the 4 of us moved into an office space.
Wow.
So we in this office space, 4801 Southwick, Suite 225. And we moved in October. December, we went on vacation. We used to take our kids on cruises every year. But this particular time, our kids were grown. Our son had went away to school. So he comes back home in January. He's like, hey, the guy that was in the corner office, he didn't move in yet? We're like, what you talking about? He moved in. We went on a cruise. Came back over in the new year. We go and open the door. It was completely empty.
Are you serious?
December 24th of that year at 5 p.m., this dude showed up with a crew and moved all his stuff out. And how we knew, most people don't know this, but my husband is into security and cameras.
Okay.
So he rolled back the cameras and saw this all unfold. So now, this was January of this year. So that guy moved out. Then the female who was in the office with us, she had gotten pregnant, and she was like, oh, I don't think I should have to pay rent while I'm on maternity leave. I'm like, you're a business owner. Exactly. I don't control your maternity leave. You don't control mine. Right. Now, this woman, she was old enough to know better. She was a mother. She was a grandmother. So then she was like, well, what if I just rent my desk out? Now, we in this office building, 4801 Southwick, 225 is the suite number.
It's the suite.
3,000 square feet, close to $4,000 a month in expenses. So fast forward to February, March of this year, I noticed that she hadn't come into the office. She never came back. She left all her stuff there, computers, this big gigantic copy machine that she had rented. And so here's me. I had a client where the money was, for the most part enough to pay the rent and all the expenses. Because, when you got a commercial space, you got rent, you got lights, you got all these things. So after driving to the office, crying some more, being evil towards my husband.
No.
Yes. I was evil towards him because I had to make a decision that I wasn't ready to make, which was I needed to move out of the office. Okay. I contacted the landlord. They basically was like,
it's nothing.
You need to pay all the rent. Exactly. I was like, can I just pay my 1/3? And they're like, no. Or you could pay your 1/3, but at the end of the lease, all the monies are due.
Oh, wow.
So after lots of tears and crying and praying and screaming, I made the decision to go ahead and move out. And for a long time, I thought that I had failed. But I'm like, and my husband said that you didn't fail. You just got into a bad situation, with others who weren't going down the same path as you. And so when I moved into this office, I was like, solo dolo. I'm not sharing nothing with anybody. And the next office that we move into is going to be the same thing. But I'm very clear on where my path is headed, what resources I need, what I want to do, who I'm going to serve. And that's not something that I learned overnight. It's something that I learned from, I kid you not, laying flat on the floor, on my face, crying, asking God, why? I've been putting in blood, sweat, and tears, working day and night. Sometimes it would be 2 and 3 in the morning, and he would have to come and meet me to follow me home because I'm putting in all this work. But that's what you got to do as an entrepreneur. You work hard for these employers. You got to work hard for yourself.
10 times more.
Yes. So, okay, let me see. I kind of lost my train of thought now because I was kind of getting emotional about that whole situation. But I will tell you, the day my landlord here said, hey, the village is going to buy the building. The building is going to be torn down. When it's raining like it is now, it's going to be a place to collect water.
Okay.
The second he left, I started popping the trunk and putting stuff in the car.
There you go.
But this time, I was not sad about moving. I just realized that God was closing this door, and he saved us because we were looking at buying this building, and the only thing that stopped us was the taxes were too high.
Okay.
And so I've realized a couple of things, and my accountant, Crystal Anderson, says this all the time. Entrepreneurship taught her how to pray.
Yes. Praying all day and all night, right?
Praying, crying. But, one of the things that I personally, some people think is, you're weak when you're crying. But for me, crying is allowing to shed the weight that's holding me hostage. And before I started going to St. James, which is a church that's where I met you at. You was singing in the choir.
Yes, ma'am.
I was so broken when I got there. And I'll never forget, I went there one New Year's Eve, and Bishop was preaching and praying as only he could do at his level. And the walls things just started to release, and I started to find my way. And so as I continue with this entrepreneurial journey and my desire to build wealth for our family, I realized that you got to have all these tools in your tool belt.
Yes, you do.
So, go ahead.
So I just wanted to add to that. As far as one thing that I see business owners do is that they don't budget. So we are going, towards the budget route. But I always try to teach people, put yourself on a salary. If you put yourself as a business owner on a salary, that way you can budget a little bit better. But majority of the time, us as business owners, what do we do when we get that $1,000? We say $500 for me, $500 for the business. We get another $1,000, $750 for me, the other amount for the business. But if you put yourself on a salary, it will allow you to budget your finances a little better versus always trying to say, let me go get that $1,000 out of that business account. And what's the reason we go get that $1,000 is because in our personal finances, we are not budgeting our bills correctly to make sure that we can sustain what we have going on. So I did create in 2016 a budget spreadsheet that I've been using. 2006, and I can't live without it. That's what allowed me to pay off my credit cards. It allowed me to see what my budget is to make sure that I can, sustain and do what I need to do. A couple weeks ago, someone asked me when was I going to get a new truck, and I told them I can't afford a new truck, and the reason I know that is because of my budget. If everyone would get this budget spreadsheet and put in your budget spreadsheet, just say if you want a $1,000 car note, you put that $1,000 car note in your budget spreadsheet for the remaining of the year. If your budget is negative, that means you cannot afford that $1,000.
Help the people.
So that's why I also I have a nonprofit called Financial Literacy for Youth, where I go around and teach the youth about credit and finances and how to start a business. And the first thing we do is put together their budget. And I tell them, now write down everything you want to spend on your rent, car note, different things like that. And I said, now add it up, and this is what you need to bring home after taxes. We all know usually the youth, when they get a job, they thinking they're going to be bringing home $500 a week, but it ended up being $350, after taxes. So I try to teach them this, and we start at the age of, I believe, 15 to 24 when we teach the youth, because I want them to start off the correct way versus just going out there and, renting an apartment and you can't afford it. You're basing it on, I make $500 a week, but you're not bringing home that $500 a week. So with this budget spreadsheet, again, it will allow a person to say, I want to move into a new home. Let me see if I can afford $2,000 a month. You put that $2,000 a month in the budget spreadsheet for the remaining of the year into next year. It'll let you know what you have available. And if you see your budget is negative, that means you can't afford it. And this is how I also operate businesses as well. As far as my business, I manage other businesses. I make sure we can afford things before we get into it. And that's our biggest mistake personally and in business, because we get into something not knowing if we can afford it, and that's when we end up flopping. So personally, again, if you have a business, it's best to get on a salary, and you make your personal finances based on your salary. Don't try to, say, let me go get $1,000 for the business. We did good this week, but you may need that $1,000 the following month because we know how businesses operate. Mm-hmm. 1 month you're doing really good. I had a smoothie juice bar inside of LA Fitness, and they closed the basketball court down in LA Fitness. My business dropped significantly because I was used to the boys, coming over there getting the smoothies after that. So I had to rearrange my budget. So we never know from month to month what's going to happen. And even giant big businesses, everyone have their issues. That's why you see the Amazons and different companies, they're letting people go. Why do they have to let people go? Because their business may have fallen short where they can't afford to do that anymore. So if we learn how to budget correctly before we get into something, we can make a difference. And that's what I'm trying to teach people throughout this journey that I'm on.
I love it. I'm gonna have to give me a budget tracker, because before I do something else, I need to make sure I got my stuff in track.
You can download it. I have it where you can download it on my website, and it's for 3 years and allow you to. So just like we used to budget a checkbook, it literally has like your running balance for the whole year, where you can add your income, add all your bills. Then once all your bills are in, you can say, can I afford something for $500? You put the $500 in there monthly. You'll see, because everything is automatically, changing for you. You'll see if your income or if anything is changing, to see that, hey, I can afford this $500 a month, or I cannot afford this $500 a month. And that's what I live by. That's what have allowed me to sustain, because I tell people it's okay to have debt because you've done something, whether it was that purse, that Gucci bag, I'm a Gucci girl. Everything is Gucci with me. Or Louis Vuitton, whatever it may be. It's okay. You work hard enough to get that. So it's okay to have debt, but it's about having control over your debt. I'm not telling people not to ever go do anything, but it's about, if you can use that credit card for whatever it may be able to pay it off the next month. So that's how I operate. If I use something for $500, I'll put it in my budget spreadsheet for the next month to pay it off, and that lets me know I can't afford that $500, shoe or whatever that I'm getting. So I think if I can get everyone to live like this, but we all know that people don't like reality. They don't like to look at their credit. They don't like to look at their finances, because they want to continue to do the things that they want to do, which is go shopping, which is to go out to eat every day. And actually, I don't desire any of those anymore. I used to be a shopaholic, but I realized that I was doing it to make me happy. But at the end of the day, I'm getting in all of this debt. So now I'm unhappy. You can only wear so many shoes. You can only wear so many bags, different things like that. So I don't even desire, because I have so much that I'm not even wearing. I don't even desire that anymore. And as far as like going out to eat, you can easily spend $100 going out to eat.
$150 for two. We did last night.
Yeah, so easily. So like all that is not necessary for me anymore, because it's just, I can eat at home. So I've just learned how to just readjust my situation and make sure that I'm living within my means. If I don't need it, if it's not a need, then I don't get it. So
I love it. I love it. I will tell you that as I am in my transition, the first thing that and I'm no expert, but I'm just going to tell you what I did. For the people who like spreadsheets, you need a spreadsheet because you need some order. But the first thing that I did was I downloaded my bank statements.
Okay.
And I went through every line item. And I'm like, you don't need that subscription. Cancel, cancel, cancel. I started canceling so much stuff that freed up money to do different things.
Yeah. So that's how the spreadsheet is. So you literally go put line by line what bills you have, the different things that you have, and you can see how much you're spending in that particular subscription. Like, I don't need to spend, $100 a month on whatever this may be. So again, I always admonish people to download it. It'll change your life, to make sure that you're on the right path to being financially free.
I love it. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming. We have your information scrolling down across the bottom. Download, download, download.
Yes.
Y'all know how to download movies, download apps, download the budget tracker. You need to set yourself up for success.
You do.
And
you
it
need to
takes
see
time,
it.
right?
And you
It's
need
not
to
like
see it.
see and live in color.
Exactly.
All right. Well,
Yes.
everyone, thank you, Tramaine, so
You're
much
welcome.
for coming on today. I know that you are going to help so many people. You didn't tell as many jokes as you do on Facebook, but I guess we'll
This is serious. I'm trying to help people.
Some people crying right now because they like, yeah, they right. She right. Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So thank you so much for coming. Everyone, this has been another episode of the Growth Motivator Live, where we talked about building financial wealth in your personal life. It's so important. And if you are trying to do the entrepreneurial thing, you need to take heed to everything Mr. Tramaine has told you today. Until next time.